elegantly attenuated hats, and gorgeously grand gowns in sumptuous fabrics that trail across the ground glamorously when one walks or dances. These are the hallmarks of high Burgundian fashion. Herein follows a chronicle of how this countess goes from this to this. On our last enthralling episode, I chronicled the process of donning all the underlayers of dressing in high Burgundian fashion: smock, braise, stockings, and kirtle, as well as the process of fashioning my hair into a bun in preparation for the headdress you might erroneously call a hennin. Next come the shoes. Now, here's the thing, dear viewers. I should have put these on directly after donning my smock, because bending over is much more challenging in a fitted kirtle, but even more challenging with two sharp pins in the area of one's waist. So, my lady-in-waiting is assisting here. These are turn shoes, called so because they are sewn inside out and then turned right side out, creating a very fitted piece of footwear. Like my poor abused stockings, I tend to wear through my shoes at an alarming rate, particularly on the balls of my feet where all of my dancing seems to happen. My own expense accounts reflect a substantial sum of money going to cobblers to clout my shoes, which means applying a patch of leather over the orifice that is formed. Not all countesses can afford to simply discard a pair of shoes just because of a hole or three. Speaking of clouting shoes, there seems to be a constant war between cobblers and cordwainers, with each of them often straying into each other's territory. Legally speaking, cobblers are only supposed to work in old leather, meaning repair old shoes and possibly restore old shoes to new life that can then be sold as secondhand items to the less well-off, while cordwainers are supposed to work exclusively in new leather, creating new footwear. But, as ever, the line betwixt the two can blur, leading to strife between the two professions. Certain cities, such as London and Bruges, have apparently had to repeatedly settle legal disputes in this artisanal war, with London ultimately specifying the exact quantity of new leather that cobblers may legally utilize in repairing or restoring an old shoe, and specifying that cordwainers should work uniquely in new leather without deceiving their customers as to the nature of their product. And yet, to this day, some cordwainers continue to try to pass off restored secondhand shoes as new. As an aside, the term cordwainer is derived from the name of a special sort of goat skin that used to be imported from the fabled city of Cordoba, specifically for making shoes. Sadly, these days most shoes are wrought from the much more parochial cowhide. I know many of you have at some point seen the attenuated shoes worn by gentlemen, what some of you may refer to as krakows or pikes, and I've heard the word poulain as well, although this seems a completely foreign word to me. Some of the English ladies in my Lady Duchess of Burgundy's train have informed me that her brother, King Edward, the fourth King of England of that name, has attempted to prevent commoners from dressing themselves as lords by enacting a law that no knight, under the state of a lord, esquire, gentleman, nor other person, shall use nor wear, after the feast of St. Peter, any shoes or boots having pikes passing the length of 2 inches. The City of London has apparently also forbidden the production of the more extreme version of these shoes, limiting the length of the pike, that being the extended point, also to a mere 2 inches. But how on earth is an English knight to now demonstrate his manliness to the world? Cheeky self-promotion time. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe and the notification bell if you want to know when I launch new things. And if you want to do more to support my work, then consider the super thanks button on YouTube, or maybe becoming a patron on Patreon, which comes with a whole host of perks and extras like access to premium tutorials, multiple hour ones in fact, and discounts on classes. And now, back to your regularly scheduled Contessa. Next comes the gown. This is what many refer to as a trained gown or a long gown. It is tightly fitted in the modish fashion set by my Lady Duchess and closes with the use of hooks and eyes. This particular garment is made of a modest pink silk satin and fully lined in yellow silk. It being the height of a summer in a rather hot and moist clime, my chamberlain has had the fur lining removed, but left on the fur collar and cuffs. The names for the various furs can be confusing, as the pelt of one animal may be called 4 different things depending on the season in which the pelt was harvested and the specific part of the skin being used. Take, for instance, squirrel pelts, which can be called bis, gris, vert, or miniver, depending on the part of the pelt being applied. When not lined in fur, such grand gowns are lined in some other luxuriant layer of fabric. My Lady Margaret of Denmark, the most gracious Queen of Scotland, England has gowns lined in satin, velvet, and damask, for instance. Often, the more expensive furs are reserved for the visible parts of the garment, such as the collar, the cuffs, and the guard encircling the hemline, while a less expensive fur is utilized to line the voluminous inside. The exterior bits are obviously an exercise in conspicuous consumption, while the interior lining serves the perfectly practical purpose of keeping the wearer warm. Speaking of warmth, like many fellows of my station, I even have a nightgown made of broadcloth and lined in fur, and I really regret not having brought that garment with me to this event, where the nights have fallen freezingly cold. Many people think that ladies of great estate wear only long train gowns like this one, but really, even the most noble of lady does not have the leisure to do naught but pose primly on a seat or swan about in 15 ells of fabric. So, for the less grand occasions, we also tend to have short gowns in our chests. My Lady Duchess Cecily had at one point a short gown of purple velvet furred with gray, and another short gown of blue velvet lined with sable. Oh, right. So another key item I forgot to don at the right time, that being right after my kirtle, is my demescent. A girdle featuring 2 disc-shaped strap-ends and a chain to connect them at various lengths. Perfect for hips that may fluctuate in size based on one's state of pregnancy. I use this belt to hang my knit aumônière and other key items such as my paternoster. This demescent is rather plain, but I have seen very ornate items made of gold and outfitted with jewels. I know of one very loyal servant who was once bequeathed a gold demescent inset with a diamond and another gold demescent with 2 rubies. Lucky servant. Over top of my gown comes a second belt. This broad girdle is harnessed with a specially commissioned gold buckle and strap end. It consists of a sturdy leather interior covered in a silk damask. In fact, you can peruse a full chronicle of making this stunning girdle after finishing this one. Fashionable ladies of all ranks are now wearing these broad girdles, including affluent members of the middling sort, such as merchants and craftspeople, as well as knights' wives. I've also seen them made of plain velvet, figured velvet, and cloth of gold, of course. Some broad girdles even have gold or silver bars to both decorate and reinforce the belt. I should probably have some added to this one, actually. Pro tip for donning a brodegirdel, as my English cousins say. If your fabric is figured, and you are fussy enough to care about this sort of thing, center the pattern on the front of your body before securing the buckle. Also, buckles with 2 tongues can be about as fiddly as, well, pretty much anything with 2 tongues. In the next enchanting chapter of this chronicle, we shall explore the finishing touches, jewelry and headdress, the literally crowning pieces. What do you think so far, dear viewer? Leave a message below. Otherwise, until anon, noble companions, and pray tarry for your moment of feline felicity.